Can I start?
Yeah. Well,
Great.
let's start with the
go
offense.
Great. No.
And
No.
You don't want to go offense
I
first?
want to start with Jalen Hurts.
Okay, fine. We'll call an audible. Oklahoma. Jalen Hurts first. Gene, you start us off.
F.
Okay.
Like, are you for real, F? Bro, I'm not kidding. I hate that I dissect tape. It bothers me that I dissect tape. Because if I didn't dissect tape and I just looked at the stats, I would think he had a D-, C+ game in between that area. The fact that I watched that tape, bro, there's so many guys wide open. There's so many guys wide open. And it's the play design, it's there. It's not Kellen Moore. It's not the offensive line. It's not the wide receivers. That game was 100% on Jalen Hurts. F.
What did you see outside of what you've already described? That
so
on the tape,
couple third downs. I'll break it down for you. Couple third downs. One of them was the one where he overthrew the 6'8" wide receiver Johnny Wilson. I don't know how you did that. On that play, you had AJ Brown. It was cover one, 6-man rush. Eagles picked up perfectly. AJ Brown not wide open, one-on-one, has a step on his defender. Has to be the first read on that play. Doesn't throw the football. Okay. Devontae Smith on an out route, not open, but was there. Doesn't throw the football. And then proceeds to get in the middle of the field, Johnny Wilson, and he has space in front of him. They're running cover one. The safety's over the top of Devontae Smith. The play design was perfect. And he misses him. Throws it over his head. Another play, they ran basically a stem route. If you don't know what a stem route is, it's where all three receivers are. They sent Jahan Dotson in motion. He was basically the check down. They had Devontae Smith on an out route, and they had AJ Brown on basically a deep corner route, like a deep, like a wide 7 route, a deep corner route. Your job on a stem route is to read the corner. That's your job. Read the corner. The corner is in, you throw the ball to AJ Brown. If the corner is deep, you should have Devontae Smith. If the safety presses over, you have the check down. He threw the ball to no one. He ended up throwing the ball away. 2 of the 3 were open. It was terrible. Even on the touchdown pass to Devontae Smith, that play was designed for AJ Brown. Watch the play. It's Jahan Dotson is basically running a rub. He runs about 6 yards into the defender. AJ Brown runs a slant underneath. He's wide open if you throw it right away. And he ends up throwing a deep out to Devontae Smith, which ends up being a touchdown. And it worked out for them. But it's the wrong read. It's a bad read on the play. It was wrong. The Jalen Hurts, I think, and we'll get into this a little bit more later, but I think there's a huge personal issue between him and AJ Brown. I truly believe it's an outside of football issue. It's a real personal issue. I believe that without a shadow of a doubt.
Who used to say that? Without a shadow of a doubt. What wrestler was that?
I don't know.
Was that a Rock thing? I feel like, no. Okay. That was definitely like a Rock, like middle phrase. Okay. So you give him an F. Cool. What say you? What is your grade for Jalen and your breakdown?
Jalen Hurts gets a C for this game. So now we're saying, and Gene's not the only one saying this. Now we're saying, hey, you make the wrong read. It works. How dare you take it upon yourself to say, nah, I feel more comfortable making this throw. Do we want him to be a robot and just do what he's told, or do we want him to be a quarterback and say, hey, maybe this route's open, but I feel more comfortable. I feel like this is the play I want to run, and it's successful. If he does that and it's a pick, if he does that and it's a 3 and out, then I feel like you have legs to walk on. But if the play works, are we really going to sit here and nitpick things that work, right? Did he do a lot of things wrong in that game? Absolutely. Absolutely. Did he miss throws? Absolutely. But what's the one thing that the first 5 games of the season, everyone was tripping and crying and being about it? Oh, he's turning the ball over too much. He's turned the ball over one time since then. He's protected the ball. He said in his press conferences, the OC has said in his press conferences, the wide receivers have said in their press conferences, the tight ends have said their press conferences, the linemen have said in their press conferences, the defense have said in their press conferences. They have changed the offense. Meaning, after the first 4 weeks, they decided to do what? We all know what it is. They decided to make Saquon Barkley the focal point. A.J. Brown does not have a problem with Jalen Hurts. That's not his problem. A.J. Brown has a problem with the fact that now the offense is running through Saquon Barkley as the number one option and not A.J. Brown. That boiled over this week. But that's the problem. Let's be 100% buck real. He wants to be the focal point. He wants to 1,800 yards. He's not going to get it. You know why he's not going to get it? Because Saquon Barkley may break the all-time rushing record held by Eric Dickerson. They can't both get 1,500, 1,800, 2,000 yards. It doesn't work that way. That's not how football's played. If you're going to run the ball, if you're going to focus more on the run, if you're going to depend on your defense to do things, you're going to change your style of play. Jalen Hurts is not a guy, and we see this, we notice that you can turn around and change the offense on in the middle of the season, and in 5, 6, 7 weeks, he looks great. Do we want him to be? Yes. Do we want to entirely change the offense 5, 6 weeks of the season and Jalen Hurts picks it up right away? That is what we want. That's what we expect, but that's not who he is. We've seen that over the years. Now, my issue with the whole, Jalen Hurts was terrible thing is we didn't turn the ball over. We did miss throws. By the way, Johnny Wilson's not 6'8", 6'6". We did miss throws.
Is that a Charles Barkley terrible? I love that. Terrible.
I wouldn't say it's quite that horrible, but if you want to say that, I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. But it's not like he turned the ball over. It's not like he didn't lead drives. It's not like in times where we needed plays, he didn't make plays. But the issue is we shouldn't have needed to come back, right? Because he should have done enough in the time that he had, so we didn't need to come back, right? So there's two sides to it. There's the people on one side, it's like, oh, well, he does what needs to be done in the clutch, and he gets us to come back. He does that. They have a valid argument. There's the other side. It's like, oh, he didn't do enough. He missed throws, and he doesn't run enough. He doesn't this. He doesn't that. I find myself right smack dab in the middle. I want more, but I'm okay with not turning the ball over. I'm okay with changing the identity of the team. And if we go all the way back to the only time in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles that we won a Super Bowl, we did win 3 championships way back in the day, but the only time the Philadelphia Eagles won a Super Bowl, we had a backup quarterback, we had a great defense, and we had a good run game. And the times that we needed, we got the ball to the wide receivers. But most of the scoring was running the ball. We're back to that now in this season. I also think A.J. Brown and to a lesser extent Devontae Smith have an issue with targets, right? But if you're only throwing the ball 22 times a game, if you give 8 to Devontae Smith and 8 to A.J. Brown, there's only 4 for the rest of the team. So I personally vehemently disagree with A.J. Brown has a problem with Jalen Hurts personally or professionally. A.J. Brown has a problem with the way the offense is run now. Look at his stats last year. Look at his stats since he's been in Philadelphia, and look at his stats this year. And granted, he did miss a couple of games, but he is not getting the ball anywhere near where he was, and he can't because the offense is different now. And honestly, for me, a number one receiver slamming his helmet, a number one receiver on the sideline basically arguing with Devontae, and them both complaining about what's going on with the game. Grow up. Grow the freak up. It is what it is. We're winning games, and you're being because you're not getting the ball as much as you want when you know the system has changed to be a run-first system. That's my problem. But I give Jalen Hurts a suit.
Threw for 100 yards versus the Panthers. 105 yards. 14 of 21.
Okay, 14 of 21. So that means there was no yak.
105 yards versus the Panthers.
That means there was no yak, Gene.
The 31st ranked defense.
That means there was no yak, Gene. That means there was no yak.
I thought it was 32. I mean,
they were terrible.
Let's look up the yak. So she goes
They were
sit there and say,
terrible.
"Oh, that's not what it means."
They were
What's your
terrible.
opinion?
They should have lost the game. Xavier like catches that ball, they lose the game.
So
I agree with that.
At
he
home
didn't.
versus Carolina Panthers.
I mean,
there
I don't know if you listened to me last week. I said this was a trap game. You had this game right between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. This is that definition of a trap game.
I know what a trap
Not
game
surprised
is.
that it wasn't. I'm not surprised that it was close. I said last week it would be close. I'm not surprised.
They were absolutely abysmal offensively.
yeah.
Okay. But that's the whole team. You're saying that you're giving Jalen Hurts an F. Jalen Hurts doesn't deserve F.
I think he does. I think when you look at the breakdown of that game, you see that Saquon Barkley ran for 125 yards. They ran the ball for 209, 6.7 yards per carry. Jalen Hurts missed a lot of plays, listened to a lot of throws.
That's
Took
okay.
a lot
He
of
can miss throws.
He took a lot of bad sacks. He got sacked 4 times by a team that has the number 17 pass rush in the league. What? Took 4 bad sacks.
He's been missing all season
too. Luckily, and you know what the crazy part is, we talk about turnovers. He didn't turn the ball over because Cam Jurgens recovered it, thankfully.
That's
But
what he's
he
supposed
did
to do.
fumble
He's
it.
supposed to protect his quarterback.
He did fumble it, though, and took 4 sacks.
He didn't turn it over. He didn't turn it over. That's
he did.
what matters.
Just Cam Jurgens recovered it.
That means it's not a turnover. It's a turnover if the other team gets it. It's not
Turnover
a turnover if
worthy
you
play.
them to get it back.
It was a turnover-worthy play.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts on the Eagles in general right now. You know, I'm gonna just be right dab in the middle.
Oh God,
I'm gonna go D here.
What?
I'm going D.
Oh, I thought you said B.
No. You know, because Jalen's learning this new system, and I feel like they're putting training wheels on him, and they're making him too scared to be aggressive, and then there's times where he's missing open wide receivers. I do see that for sure. We are winning games, but the problem I have is the ultimate goal is going to be harder if the passing is not more efficient at the end of the season, especially as you get deeper into playoffs. And
so you said the passing game needs to be better win.
Well, the playoffs is most important,
season,
but
right? In the playoffs,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So
I'm not upset at the win. I'm upset at. I don't know if it's. I'm confused now. I don't know if it's him being gun shy, him making bad plays, or them putting training wheels on him with his offense and not letting him throw it more. But the throwing has to be better. And I'm okay. He can't have a completely clean turnover record. The stuff that I have a problem with the turnovers is when he turns it over in the red zone. That's when I have a really big problem with it. You can't have red zone turnovers. And, he missed some wide open receivers. I mean, I would be upset if the wide receivers weren't upset about not having the ball. I want them to want the ball, right? So AJ Brown doesn't really bother me. I don't know if it's as big a situation as people blow it out to be. I think the problem is they might have a problem with the offense. I don't know if he has a problem with AJ Brown. I don't know if they have a problem personally. I don't know, man. I think he might have a problem with him because he's like, yo, I'm open and you're not hitting me. But every receiver, even when they're open, they think they're not open. They think they're open. I mean, that's, receivers are like that, especially the dogs like him, but there were some horrible passes. And his footwork, man, if you look at film, Gene, you look at a lot of film. If you looked at his footwork compared from this year to last year to year over, I would say he's regressed, right?
You said I see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is cover 1. I want to show you what I'm watching. Okay. This is cover 1. I'm going to make this real simple for you guys. Look at the top safety. You can look at the safety. He fades towards Devontae Smith's side. You'll see him drop now, right? Look at the top of the screen. AJ Brown's got a step. He's right there. AJ Brown has a step. That ball needs to be out and thrown. Clean pocket. He's got 4 yards of separation on anyone. If he's not going to throw the ball early, which is the out route to Devontae Smith at the bottom of your screen, which is covered, that's where he's looking. That's where his head's at. See where his head's at right now. then when the safety drops to that side, he needs to release the ball here. He decides to hold the ball, scramble. Johnny Wilson now becomes open. Middle of the screen. Passes well over his head, 6'6". That is terrible football. That is not understanding what you're looking at.
So let me ask you a
That's
question.
bad football.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
He missed some reads. He threw the ball to an open guy. If he makes a better throw, that's a completion.
A completion, correct.
So how was that a terrible read? That was
it's
a bad throw.
You should have threw that ball to
It was a
AJ Brown.
bad throw.
It was a bad
But
throw.
he threw the ball to an open receiver, Gene.
That's a
He just overthrew it.
six-man front. The Eagles' offensive line allowed him to get to his third read.
Open receiver. He just overthrew it.
Physical error and a mental error. If you're
Well, he
reading
isn't-
cover one, cool. If you're reading cover one and you're seeing a six-man front, you
So-
see a blitz, and that offensive line picks it up to the point where you can get to your third read on a blitz.
Can you play that? Can you bring that up again, Gene?
Sure.
So, I mean, he admitted it himself. He's still holding on to the ball too long.
He's holding on to the ball. Yeah. But it's not like he held on to the ball, took a sack, ran in the end zone and got sacked, threw an interception, or fumbled on his play. What he did was he went through the reads. He had the time. He went through the reads. He picked a open guy where he felt comfortable throwing the ball in that particular setup. Because let's not forget, and this is every quarterback in the league. We sit here and
Keep
we
playing the play,
dissect the
Gene.
play, and we say, hey, you should look at this guy, you should look at that guy. But you're on the field, you're also trying to see if anybody's coming to blitz you and stuff. It's not like he's able to play it like this, like we're on Madden, and he's playing it like this. This is actual real time. He did make a good throw. Well, he made the right read, but he overthrew the ball. He didn't make a good throw. Guy comes open, he throws the ball to him open. But the problem is what? Bad throw. I give you that. Bad throw. You have to make that throw. If you have that long, you have to make the throw. But how can we really sit here and say this is a bad throw when the guy is open and he can catch the ball and get yak if the ball is thrown better? How was that a bad throw?
You need a bad read.
I mean, a bad read. Excuse me. Thank you. How was
It's
it
a bad read because AJ Brown's got one-on-one on the outside. versus
Okay,
the cornerback
I get it.
with the
But
safety
guess
on
what? The
outside.
ball's not going to A.J. Brown every play.
Every
it's
play
not.
had 4 receptions, cool. He had 4.
But the ball's not going to him every play.
Yeah, I do agree that AJ Brown is frustrated though because he's not getting enough touches, but at the same time,
He had
or
4
targets, I should say.
targets.
We
4
just
targets.
sit here weeks ago and complain that all the catches go to Calcaterra, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown. He's trying to throw the ball to other guys. Now, we're not getting enough touches to A.J. Brown every game. What do you want? You want him to throw 500 yards a game and throw it to everybody for 100 yards? No, it's not going to happen because Saquon's going to run the ball for 100, 150, 120, 200 yards a game. What do you want from him? What do you want?
I want him to throw for more than 100 yards versus the Panthers.
So I want him to get rid of the ball quicker because as I watched that route with Gene, I felt like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. If you guys saw this, he definitely held on to it too long. I saw receivers
He held
coming
the
under the
ball,
break.
but he had time in the pocket.
He had time, but those receivers, he's got to hit for
If
certain
he
routes,
makes
that
that-
ball's got to be out of his hand before the receiver's
If that's
making the
a
break.
certain routes. If that's a better throw, no one's crying about a completion. If that's a better throw, we're talking about how he took the time in the pocket, he sat back, and he went through his progressions because he felt comfortable in the pocket, and he made a good throw to his 4th receiver.
You don't think
But
he's
because
gun
he
shy?
overthrew it, not because it was not because it was a bad read, because he overthrew the ball when he had a pocket and he had time. Now we want to bring this up as, this is the job. This is just a terrible read and a terrible throw. It's a terrible throw.
I think he's gun shy. Yeah.
I think he's gun shy.
He may be. He may be.
They got to listen. They got to let him be who he is. You can't
You got to.
You can't
He
put
doesn't
training
look
wheels on
comfortable.
him. That,
Real
and
quick,
be
I
like,
just want to bring up one more play. The other play I was talking about because I just got it ready for you, and I really just kind of want your take on this. And this is one of those plays that works out, right? This is one of those ones where it ends up working out in the long run. I don't understand
Grant
when I
Guitar
look at this
touchdown?
play. This is the touchdown to Devontae Smith. I
So
want
it's
you just to watch
Calcaterra, you
AJ. What?
Calcaterra, isn't it?
No, it's Devontae Smith. I'll show you.
I see it.
So I want you to watch just AJ Brown. That's all I want you to watch is just AJ Brown, just 11 here. Why is that ball not thrown there? That's what the play is designed to be thrown.
Turning the throw outside.
No.
Let me see that play again.
This is the design of the play. It's a rub. Why is it not thrown there?
Because by the time he busted the middle open, he's already looking at Devontae Smith.
He looked right at him.
When he comes open, he's already getting ready to throw. It's not like he. Come on, man.
I mean, I feel like in that throw, I'd rather go to Devontae Smith personally because, remember, this game's moving faster than we're seeing it on the film. He did run open, but he's got to stick that right on him. And if he's feeling gun shy, it looks like the coverage is converging on AJ. So if he doesn't catch it, he fumbles it or it bounces off his chest, it could turn into an interception.
He's wide open because he's in between zones.
I feel like with Devontae Smith, if you leave that ball in front of him, the chance of an interception happening in traffic because something gets tipped by
you guys are looking at this play at this moment and telling me the ball should be thrown to Devontae Smith is beyond me.
He's already locked on him at that point, though. If you look at the play,
that's what we're telling you. I
think he's already locked on Devontae at that point.
He's already decided Devontae's getting this ball. That's what we're telling you.
Look at his body.
Could he have thrown to AJ Brown? Yeah, he couldn't throw to AJ Brown. I'm not saying we couldn't, but we still got a touchdown.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
If you throw the ball to AJ Brown, then somebody, maybe not you, but somebody would be up here saying, Devontae Smith was wide open on the side. He should have threw him the ball because it would have been a safer throw in the red zone. And we haven't been good passing the ball in the red zone.
I genuinely think that there's a personal issue, a personal problem between them two. And Jalen is not throwing him the football because of that personal problem. And I'll take it a step. I'll take it a step further. Brandon Graham is the nicest human being you will ever meet in your life. He is always smiling.
With saying what he said. How nice he is has nothing to do with what he's saying.
What he
said was not supposed to come out of the locker room, no matter how you feel about it. That is Bush League, and I do not respect somebody.
I'm surprised BG said that. I'm surprised BG said that.
That's
in
Bush
general.
League, and I lost a little respect for him for doing that. He's supposed to be a veteran, and you don't do that. Period.
Do you think that was because Gene is Do you think that was because not Gene? I'm sorry. BG is just not playing right now. Like he's a little bit more loose-lipped about that, not as involved.
I think it was a complete accident. I think that he said it, and after he said it, he completely regretted it. He backed everything up like an hour and a half later on Twitter.
So here's the thing, though. Let's say there may or may not be issues with AJ and Jalen personally, right? There may be issues, there may not be issues. There may just be that they're not connected. Whatever the issue is,
100%.
They're both grown men. There's other veterans on this team. If there is an issue, then why don't you, Brandon Graham, why don't Nicholas Sirianni? No, John, no. Hell no. You don't come out and put this kind of stuff in the media. And if you agree with that and you think that's okay, then I'm glad I've never played any sports with you.
I mean, does the OC get some blame? I don't know about that. I've seen the good from Jalen. I've seen the good. I think it's there. I don't think it's a situation where I don't think he can be good. I've seen that. I've seen limitations in his game, so I've seen the bad there too. I've seen him develop in certain areas. He surprised me where I thought he wasn't going to be good, and he has been good. But blaming the OC, I don't know if I'm not blaming the OC.
Definitely not the OC. Look at the route concepts. Everyone's wide open.
I feel like that there has been from the beginning of this season, there's a part of the offense that's Nick. There's a part of the offense that's Kellen Moore. I don't feel like that works. I feel like you brought Kellen Moore in to be the OC. Either you let him call the plays or you call the plays. But we don't need 35% Nick, 65% Kellen. We need 95% Kellen and 5% Nick, or we need 100% Nick.
I'm a lawyer for 1 second, okay? I'm going to ask you a couple questions. I need you direct answers. Can I get that?
I'd always give direct answers, sir.
I love that. So when A.J. Brown came to Philadelphia, how close do you think Jalen Hurts? Stop that. We're having a conversation. When A.J. Brown came to Philadelphia, how close do you think him and Jalen Hurts were?
They were very close. They worked out together. They worked out together. I wouldn't go as 10. I would say about 8. I'll say about 8.
Jalen was the godfather of AJ's child.
He is. I'd say about 8.
Okay. Right now, where do you think they're at?
I would still say they're about 7 or 8.
See, if you watch that football game, after every drive that they have a tough drive or they come off the field, you've seen A.J. Brown sit next to Devontae Smith, and you've seen Jalen Hurts with Calcaterra and the coaches they were not or offensive linemen. They were avoiding each other at all costs in that game.
Right,
and
cool.
last year, when there was issues, it almost seemed like Smitty was with Jalen, was on his side about things. And AJ and Jalen Hurts issues that they had dealt with were them two, and it was more AJ's problem. This year, it feels like the receivers are on the same side and Jalen's not. I'll take it a step further. What I'm saying, you said there's still about a 7 or 8. All right, so after all this stuff goes down, when they talk to each other, do you remember after AJ's first year in Philadelphia, he had that massive year, and they said, if they don't re-sign Jalen Hurts, you might as well trade me because Jalen's the guy, and spoke, he's great, he's this, he's that, spoke him up to the gods. Do you remember that interview I'm talking about? He was on the pivot talking about Jalen Hurts. You remember that, right? When they asked them after this all altercation, after Brandon Graham said they used to be friends and something happened, Carton from New York constantly alludes to there's something going on. I can't speak on it because out of respect for both men, I won't speak on it, but there's something personal going on. Brandon Graham said they used to be friends. These comments aren't of their 7 or 8, their family. They asked A.J. Brown, how you and Jalen Hurts? He goes, we're cool. We're cool. If you ask me a question about my teammate, about the godfather of my son, and after all things that were going on this week, my response, that's family. Family fights sometimes.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
All of AJ's answers throughout the entirety of this thing, not just this week, but throughout the season, all of his responses have been 3 words or less.
Yes.
For the past since the offense switched from focusing on the pass to focusing on the run around week 5 or so, after they had the bye, all of his answers have been 3 words or less. Whether he's had a 150-yard game, whether he's had a 20-yard game.
Except yesterday. Yesterday he spoke in depth.
Well, I'm the judge here, and I'm going to say order in the court, and John is right. He forgot to bring the cranberry sauce to Thanksgiving, and that's what this is about. But seriously, I think I don't know, man. I think, to use a phrase I've heard Gene use, I think as Philly fans, we're a prisoner of the moment sometimes, and we look at their relationship under a microscope, that it's all that their work environment, because they're athletes and we would all love to be an athlete. This is their work environment, and you rub people the wrong way sometimes at work. And I think at the end,
there's work. I was going to say this: there's work, and then there's personal. I don't believe there's any problems personally. I think work-wise, I think all the receivers are unhappy because you go from coming in here. If you're just Ryan Dotson, you think I'm going to come in here, I'm going to get catches, I'm going to get a chance to look good. I got a couple more years on my rookie contract. If I'm not going to be in Philly, I at least get a chance to improve how people see me so I can go out somewhere else and get a better contract after my rookie contract's over. If you're Devontae Smith, I want to come in and have another 1,000-yard season, maybe 1,500. You're A.J. Brown, I want to have 18, 1,900, 2,000 yards, right? That's what the expectation was at the beginning of the year. The first 4 weeks, we were looking more like that, but then what happened? They switched things. So you switch things mid-season on the wide receiver group of Jalen Hurts. This is separate from the fact that he hasn't thrown the best. I get that. But what I'm saying is some of this frustration is not towards Jalen Hurts. Some of this frustration has to be toward the coordinators and the people who decided to make the change from we're going to go with what's working to we are going to focus on being a run-first team. That's what they have done. When you take receivers that want the ball and you put them in a run-first offense, are they going to be happy, Gene?
No.
See, I
Okay.
think
So
where
if they're
AJ
not
Brown is at.
happy,
Well, I'm
maybe
answering your
part of
question.
that.
I think
Are
where
they-
Smitty. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No,
I think
I'm
Smitty and AJ Brown aren't happy, not for this reason. I think both things can be true, right? There is less pass volume going around, right? But when the passing does happen, he's missing them sometimes. And that is why they're extra upset, because the opportunities are fewer and far between. And he's not, there's times when he's not capitalizing on those opportunities. So then they're like, oh shit, I'm not going to get the ball the rest of the game. I want those guys to want the ball. What did people expect AJ Brown to say when they asked him that question? You knew he was going to say passing game. I could have predicted that like last year. And
I mean, clearly it's the passing game.
But listen, John says Sirianni still get fired at Super Bowl or bust. We got to stop blaming Nick Sirianni and offensive coordinators. Like at a certain point, like I don't.
Jalen problem.
I'm not blaming them. I'm not having that. I just feel like,
if you're not gonna get the media to
and we
blame,
didn't talk about the defense, and we should get into defense right now because I don't think the defense looked great. Right?
They didn't look great. They didn't look great. But real quick,
I felt like they couldn't get off the field. They couldn't get off the field.
They couldn't. Before we wrap up, I just want to say this, and I think people are underestimating and understanding how much chemistry matters in a team. How much, like, you talk about this, their work and personal is different. Guys, I mean this when I say it. In order to be at the level of greatness that this team wants to be at, in order to go to the places that this team wants to go, they cannot just be clocking in and doing work while at work and keeping work and personal the same. I hate the phrase, well, you don't got to be friends, you just got to work with them. I hate that phrase because in an NFL locker room or any sporting event or any team that you've ever been on, the teams that have the most chemistry, the teams that have the most love for each other, the teams that are the most in sync with each other are the ones that are most successful.
I just think he's frustrated with AJ Brown's frustrated with him. I don't think he's mad at him. I think there's a huge difference there. I think that maybe Schmidt, we haven't seen, is frustrated with him because they want the ball more.
You say they used to be friends.
I think they're frustrated with the situation.
But where did I used to be friends thing came from? They're not friends now. Like that's pure speculation.
I don't think they talk.
You don't know what they like. Here's the thing: Brandon Graham, unless he hangs out with Jalen Hurts all day outside of football,
it sounded like he was defending him. Jalen Hurts. He said 1 is trying and 11 needs to chill. That's what he said.
Okay, but here's the thing: unless he hangs out with them outside of football, unless he's on the phone with them whenever they talk, unless he's at Jalen Hurts' house or AJ Brown's house when they have conversations outside of football, you can't say that they're not friends outside of football.
But why would they say they used to be friends?
Who said they?
I don't know why he would say that. I don't know why he would say that. That's not his place to say. That is not his place to say because
they used to be friends.
He can't verify what they are off the field.
Could the stuff be that their wives don't like each other? I mean, can the stuff be their wives don't like each other? Can it be something like that? I mean, I'm just speculating here because that's all we're purely doing on the relationship status.
Well, I'm going to give you the exact quote because I don't want to. I don't want to.
What I'm saying is, outside of football, you cannot say that they aren't friends unless you're in those situations with them. When it comes to football, you can say in the facility, in the locker room, maybe they don't talk and laugh as much as they used to.
I'm going to read you the whole quote.
That's what you can speculate on.
I'm going to read you the whole quote. The person that's complaining.
Go ahead.
Well, everybody needs to hear it. The person that's complaining, apparently Godfrey didn't hear it. The person that's complaining needs to be accountable. And I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? And like he knows. I don't know the whole story, but I know that Hurts 1 is trying. And I mean, 11 could be better at how he responds to the thing. And they were friends before this, but things have changed. I understand that because life happens. But it's the business side that we need to make sure we don't let the personal get in the way of the business. And that's what we got to do better right now because we know it's an issue. Everybody's seeing some things, but we need to be able to talk things out as men. You know what I'm saying? But we need to let personal stuff go and let's get right for this game because it's like a lot of stuff. Most of the time, it's just a conversation that needs to be had. But the person with the problem got to want to talk to the person other than others.
See, when I heard that, I thought he was saying personal from business. He's saying separate personal from business. It was very vague what he said.
It's how you take it.
How is that vague?
It's
They
how you
used
take
to
it.
be
And
friends, and stuff happens.
What did he say in the
He
first part of that
doesn't-
quote? What did he say in the first part of that quote?
Never mind. Go ahead.
What did he say in the first?
I don't know the whole story, but I know that Jalen is trying.
I don't know the whole story.
Yes, I don't know the whole story.
Right. So if you don't know the whole story, how can you come out and say that they're not friends personally? You don't know that. You said yourself in the beginning, you don't know that.
Cool. Let me.
I'm just saying, if it was as simple as on-field play, I feel like BG would know that. You know what I mean? Like if it was simple as he doesn't feel like he's getting the ball more, I feel like BG would know that. You know what I mean? Like
to this than him and
how y'all can read that and hear that and think that these two dudes are
more to this than him and Jalen. Both of those top two receivers, they have a problem with the change in the offense. If they don't, then they shouldn't be wide receivers and they wouldn't be high caliber players. Anytime you take a top receiver, which most people agree both of those guys are, and you start throwing them the ball, it starts being 20, 21 attempts versus 30, 35 attempts. They're going to have a problem with that.
If this game,
because they were sold a bill of goods before the season, we're going to do whatever's happening.
If this game was like 34-10, 35-3, we're not even having this conversation.
They wouldn't be having the conversation, Godfrey. They had the conversation because they should have lost to the Panthers. That was the conversation. They should have lost the game.
Right. The game was closer than it should have been.
And
Jalen did miss throws in that game for 1,000%. I feel like their opportunities are fewer than they usually are, and he's missing those opportunities. So they're frustrated because they're not getting opportunity. And they're frustrated about it. I think AJ Brown's definitely frustrated. When I look at his body language and his face when they ask him about stuff, I just don't feel like I don't get the vibe. He's like, I get the vibe he's mad he's not getting the ball. And I get the vibe he's detrimentally upset where he's going TO nuclear.
I also think the one word he used that when he asked what the problem was, he didn't say passing offense, he said passing. And I don't know how you can hear that word. There's a lot of words you can use to describe what's going wrong with the passing offense. He said passing. He didn't say play calling. He didn't say scheme. He didn't say the passing offense. He didn't say protection. He said what's wrong with the offense? Passing. I don't know how y'all, I feel like I'm like on planet cuckoo because like I hear this so clear and so like spot on and y'all just don't, and I don't get it. And I don't know what I'm missing.
Well, I don't feel like the offense is humming, right? Like they don't fucking score.
They scored perfectly 2 games ago versus the Rams. They went into
not in the first quarter. They don't score in the first quarter still.
You're right.
I mean, I don't feel like they're humming. They're still coming out sputtering.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming out sputtering a lot. Like I'm seeing, I do not feel comfortable in this. I'm saying this offense is doing the right thing here. I mean, time of possession. I don't have it in front of me. I'm trying to look it up.
Bro, from the
it was 26 to 33. It was 33 minutes. The Eagles 26 minutes for time of possession.
We can all agree the Browns game after the bye week, we were flat. We looked ugly, right? We can all agree there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to read you the points per game from then. 28 versus the Giants, 37 versus the Bengals, 28 versus the Jaguars, 34 versus the Cowboys, 26 versus the Commanders, 37 versus the Rams, 24 versus the Ravens, and 22 at home versus the lowly Panthers.
Yeah. I feel like
we're not gonna look at the fact that again, we had won 8 games in a row. We had two really get up games, 2 games we really need to get up for. And we had the Panthers sliced in the middle. We're not gonna look at any of that. We're just gonna look at that's what I'm saying here.
You saying track meet makes sense. I understand that.
Yes.
I'm just saying I think the personal problems are worse.
This is a whole lot of pomp and circumstance. We go out there Sunday. The ball goes to AJ Moore, which it will, because there's one thing that you did not bring up. The offensive coordinator said, we are going to scheme the ball to AJ Moore this week, which means they haven't been scheming the ball to AJ as much as they were earlier in the season. That's the word from Kellen Moore.
Do you think that that's a problem? You're telling Pittsburgh, who's a
Yes.
very good defense, that we're going to throw the ball more to AJ Brown. You
Yes, I do think that's a
Mike
problem.
Tomlin?
I think that's stupid.
Correct.
But it still happened, and that's my point.
Well, I think part of the reason they're
the offense is sitting here saying, "Hey, we're going to definitely throw the ball more to AJ because he got pissed off this week. So let's make sure he gets the ball more."
Crazy.
Well, they could do that, and Mike Tomlin, he can't play cornerback and not hold the receiver like Joey Porter likes to do, who's Mr. Handsy of the league. So I would throw at him because I think you're going to get some PI pass calls.
I mean, and plus you get handsy with AJ, he'll get handsy right back with you. He's a big physical receiver.
Yeah, you're and listen, the thing is you got to get rid of that ball quick. You got to get rid of that ball quick. But let's grade the defense because we haven't graded the defense, and I have a problem with the defense. Okay, you know, I think they were average. Okay, and
there's
they
two
weren't
defenses that were on the field, Godfrey. There was the first and second down defense, and there was the third down defense. And I'll tell you right now,
third down
defense was terrible.
Right.
And as much as we love talking about Cooper DeJean, because Cooper DeJean has looked great this year, Adam Thielen gave it like he stole something.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. He gave him a veteran welcome. That's for sure. That's the first one he's got.
I'm just gonna say, I think it was average because you have to average the two together. Yep. We do have some good first and second down plays, but if you don't get off the field on third down, which we did not do anywhere near enough of in this game, we definitely missed Reed Blankenship. That's for sure.
You ain't lying.
Then you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Maddox in, right?
Look, this is
Maddox was once again. Maddox and Milton Williams were the two worst graded Eagles defenders in this
Avonte
game.
Maddox is always going to be the worst graded defender this year because we got rid of the guys that were worse than him.
So shocking stat: the Panthers were 3 for 5 on fourth down efficiency, I believe.
I will say this though, outside of the defensive line, because the defensive line's tackling is always when they're being held by an offensive lineman. Who do you think was the worst graded tackler on the Eagles Sunday? Starter.
Probably Nakobe Dean.
Nope.
Well, he was all over the place.
He was actually third highest.
Yeah, he was.
Worst graded tackler was Tristan McCollum. So perfect line about missing.
Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I mean,
the thing is, Sidney Brown was hurt, and for a time we didn't have CJ either. I'm sitting over here like, oh.
Speaking of CJ, highest graded Eagles defender on Sunday was CJ Gardner-Johnson.
My problem with the Eagles overall, and I'm giving them a C, is this: we cannot keep. The Eagles cannot keep playing like this in the first quarter, give up points, because they're going to run against a team that's going to put up 20.
Do you know
then we're going to have a problem
in the first quarter this year?
It's got to be under 20.
17.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
all year combined. Do you know how many points the Seattle Seahawks scored in the first quarter versus Arizona last week?
17.
17.
So here's the thing. The defense I'm not even
well, part of that is they couldn't get off the field, right? So you couldn't get the ball back to the offense. And then when they did have it.
When you're going through the ebbs and flow of the season, right? You're going to have some games where you play well. You're going to have some games where you play bad. I feel like from the players to the coordinators to the head coach to the trainers to the meal prep people to the equipment people, everybody took this game as we're going to go in here and smack them around. They're going to lay down for us, and we're going to just stomp a mud hole in them and walk it dry. Meaning you haven't been paying attention to the Carolina Panthers for the last few weeks. You're not the only team that they played close. They almost beat was that Kansas City they played? No, that wasn't that.
Tampa Bay, Kansas City, both of them.
Tampa Bay's a horrible defense this year, but I did see that game.
Close. So my point is, this is a team that's saying, yeah, we're not good, but we don't care. If we can knock you down a peg, that'll make us happy because we have nothing to play for.
Right. They were playing with house money. That's why they went for it on fourth down certain times because they really have nothing to lose.
They're not worried about it.
And I get that.
So many things bounce their way. That fourth down that hits off Jalen Carter's hand, lands in Adam Thielen's hand. They had so many things just bounce their way. Everything was going their way in that football game.
And we still found a way to win the game.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
And that's why, kids, Godfrey's going to give you the betting tip of the day. You don't take a -14 spread. That's why.
I'll tell you.
I already said that game was going to be.
I'll tell you what. We're doing exactly what the media is doing this week, what the Eagles are doing this week, what everybody's doing. We're heading into a Pittsburgh Steelers game. We haven't talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's give at least 5 minutes to the Pittsburgh Steelers because we're running out of time.
Let's do it. So,
Keys to victory.
keys to victory is you got to make Russell Wilson move off his spot. I need to see a better performance from the defensive line as far as sacks and QB pressure. I felt like Bryce Young was way too comfortable. We had 1 sack to their 4. Russell doesn't have the same mobility he used to have. It's the Eagles' time to finally beat him. George Pickens with a grade 2 hamstring. I think that's going to hamper them. He's not the only part of their. Say what?
He's not going to play.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's not going to hamper their offense. That takes away their deep threat. There's no world that I think Quinyon Mitchell, DeJean cannot take care of Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson and all the other cast of characters they have at receiver. You got Pat Freiermuth. Yeah, they have Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. I'm not scared by their offense at all, to be honest here. I'm really not. Pickens not being on the field hurts them. Now, they got to do that. I think we do establish the run. I think, some people, you can pass on Pittsburgh. People have done it all year. You got to get rid of that ball quick. Jalen cannot be holding on to it, not with the TJ Watt and characters rushing the passer. Can't happen. Going to be a problem if it does. Okay. If they're going to do the thing and grease the wheel, give the squeaky wheel the oil in the form of AJ Brown, I say do it. Go after Joey Porter, who loves to get holding calls, and it's been a problem of his all year long. Okay. And I don't have a problem with them doing that, but I do think that you're going to have to keep the defense honest, and you're going to have to throw it because they, even though we're saying we're going to scheme it to AJ Brown, there's still going to be a healthy dose of running coming from the Eagles. Okay. And it's got to be quick plays. It can't be long developing routes, sitting in the pocket for 5 seconds, because you ain't going to have that with the Steelers team. I believe Alex Highsmith is coming back, if I'm not wrong, or he might've been back already. It doesn't even matter. That's a formidable front 7, but the back 4 can be had on Pittsburgh, in my opinion. So, yeah, I do think you need to pass it. Not having Goddard hurts, but, listen, he's hurt all the time, so you got to move on. So, basically, you're going to – the defense, I think, are going to – I don't think the Steelers are going to be able to score on them. I don't see them getting more than 13 points on the Eagles. So, the keys of the game is basically you're playing good defense, get rid of the ball quick, establish the run, and you're going to have to throw the ball to keep the other side honest.
Man-to-man cover 1. Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson are speedsters. They're going to be the wide receivers that you have to protect against. You're going to really have to worry about them. So you're going to be able to have to play cover 1 defense, keeping the deep safety to protect each one of them running the deep route. Other than that, you protect the line of scrimmage. You run the football. You stop the run. You stop Najee Harris. Pittsburgh wants to run the football. You have to play contained on the outsides. Nolan Smith's done a great job of that, as has Sweat. Offensively, this is a game where if you wanted to get your passing offense going, this is it, right? But you have to make sure you understand where TJ Watt is. You cannot let him peel his ears back and rush the quarterback. He will create turnovers. He will wreck the football game if you allow him to. You have to stay away from the middle of the field. This team is great over the middle of the field. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen. These are guys that are very good over the middle of the field and stopping the pass and stuffing the run. Larry Ogunjobi is probably not going to play, so you'll be able to double team on the outside on TJ Watt. It doesn't look like Deshaun Elliott's going to play. You're going to get a healthy dose of DeMonte Casey in the secondary. I think the Eagles as a whole need to be able to pass the football this game, and they cannot abandon the run and let TJ Watt just pin his ears back and go after your quarterback. Cool.
Cam Hayward hasn't practiced yet, so up in the air if he'll play. We already talked about George Pickens not playing with the hamstring. To be honest, when it's a hamstring, you're going to miss a couple of weeks. Deshaun Elliott, same type of issue.
Especially it was a grade 2 hamstring, so that's even worse. So,
and then Mike Williams, I think, is a guy we're going to have to watch this game. This is a great game for him to kind of get going, right? He's had some big plays for the Steelers, but they're going to need a healthy dose of Mike Williams without George Pickens. Obviously, Najee Harris is going to run the ball. They're going to attack us. They're going to try to attack us with the run. They're going to hope they can get some of those plays, especially early, where guys aren't necessarily tackling well. Because I've seen a lot of guys get thrown off of a tackle or ride a guy to the ground and give him an extra 10, 15 yards by not just wrapping them up and doing exactly what you're supposed to do from the beginning of the game. These are things that have happened. They've been happening. It's nothing new. It's not a new shocking surprise. We've got to throw the ball better. Whatever the issue that AJ Brown has, he's got to get out of his own mind. He's got to go out here and play football. That's what he's paid to do, right? If he has an issue with Jalen Hurts, then you figure that issue out, right? You don't want to talk to Jalen Hurts, then don't talk to him. But you better go out there and perform, or you're not going to win. We've got to run the ball, and we've got to have gap integrity on defense, right? We've got to cover the gaps. You can't get trailing guys. You can't get caught up in a lot of things. The one good thing about this game is 7 games, Russell Wilson has 5 turnovers, and many more that should have been turnovers, where a guy dropped a pick. They ruled him down when he fumbled the ball. He has not been playing. I mean, a lot of people are praising Russell Wilson. I've watched a lot of these games. I have a nephew that actually lives the same city I do, so we watch a lot of football together. Watch Steelers games. Russell Wilson doesn't play horrible, but there's this talk like, oh, Russell Wilson stretches the field and he makes them this different team. Half of the Steelers fans want Justin Fields back on the field already, right? Because what does Russell Wilson do? He can't really run anymore. He can still scramble around a little bit, but he can't really run anymore. His arm is not what people try to make it out to be. He can make some throws, but he's not the Russell Wilson that we saw 5-10 years ago. It's not the same guy. So he can be had. You poke that ball out, punch that ball out, we can get some turnovers. Back to the offense real quick. We've got to take what's given. We can't go into this, we're going to run these 25 plays in the first quarter, and we don't care what happens. We're going to only run these plays. You've got to adapt quickly. That's what the game of the NFL is. You have a script, you run a few plays off of it, the script sucks, let's throw it away and let's start doing something different. Adaptability. Play calling is a part of our issues. Execution is a part of the issues. Attitudes from guys when everything doesn't go the way they want is a part of the issues. These are the things that tear down really good teams. You think when you had a dynasty with now they cheated a lot, but you think we had a dynasty with the Patriots, everybody was happy? There was a time where they only threw the ball to the tight ends. You think the wide receivers were happy? There's a lot of times they didn't even hardly use the running back. You think they were happy? But you know why none of those guys came out and said anything? Because there was a strong culture in the locker room that was like, you shut the F up, you come in here, you get the job done, and we win. That's something that is not built, I don't believe, in Philadelphia.
No.
Avante Maddox would have been cut on the Patriots already.
Not just the Patriots. If guys don't perform, you cut them and you go find somebody else. There are guys on the team that could do more than what Avante Maddox is doing right now. There's got to be guys on practice squad somewhere right now that could do more than what Avante Maddox is doing. Why, in the name of Jesus Christ, is this man still on our team?
Completely agree with you.
Yeah, Russell Wilson doesn't scare me, but I do think from the Steelers' perspective, yeah, he's not all world. He's not what he used to be, but he's an upgrade of what they had last year. And with that defense, it's a good addition. You know, when I'm a big Justin Fields fan.
Last year.
Yeah, well, his QB rate is 98 last year. Was a horrible. I think Sean Payton didn't put him in position for success on purpose. To be honest, I really do.
Eagles are gonna have a full complement of players this week. Should be no one missing.
Nope. Everybody that's not on IR should be playing.
Yeah.
So,
what about the pass rush, though, guys? How did you feel the pass rush last time? I'm just curious what your observations were about our pass rush.
I always feel comfortable with the pass rush because I think with the pass rush, it's about making the quarterback do something outside of what they want to do. So you may not get the sack, you may get a late, you may just rush, you may get to hit him when he's throwing the ball or whatever. But it's about making him do what he's uncomfortable with. And there were a lot of times in that game that with the line, they were getting in pressure. They were in their gaps. They were making things difficult. We saw Jordan Davis take off at one point and tackle Bryce Young. So we have a lot of good things that are happening, but it's putting it together.
Yeah.
We've got to stop playing
prediction. We got 2 minutes left.
We got to stop playing Slay in these in-game situations.
Well, he ain't trying to play the whole game anyway. He's hurt half the game anyway.
He's got to sit down in these game situations. He doesn't have it anymore with the speed. He's getting burnt on a consistent basis. We got to sit him down in those situations.
So, score predictions. Gene, you want to go first? Or?
Sure. I think the Philadelphia Eagles win this game 27-17. I think they win the football game. I think they're better than Pittsburgh. I think that it'll look good. So people will be like, oh, they're better now. I'm forewarning you that this is a win that's going to be putting everyone mind at ease when it doesn't need to be there.
I'll go 28-17. I think we'll get in the end zone 4 times. I think they'll get a couple of touchdowns and a field goal. We should get at least one turnover. This is a team that will give you the ball, especially from Russell Wilson, but we've got to make sure that we don't do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm going to go 24-19 Eagles. I think it's going to be less than a touchdown game. I think it's going to be kept close. And yeah, it's going to be an entertaining game. I'm looking forward to it. 24-19 Eagles.
And my counterfeit green is all the Philadelphia Eagles fans that have been saying Jalen Hurts is not our quarterback and we can't win with him.
My counterfeit green is BG. If you didn't mean to say it, why'd you say it?
Bro, I'll never disrespect BG.
I like him, but I'm just saying, like, you walked it back an hour and a half later.
I disrespect what he did because he shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You don't get a
I'm
pass.
glad he did, though.
I'm not.
Sometimes you need to spill the milk to have conversations that need to be had.
Or sometimes you take two dudes, since you got so much to say, you take two dudes to the room and you sit down with them and say, we're going to talk this ish out. Since you got
maybe that was
so close to the situation, since you know how close they are, how about you sit them both down and do something about it then?
Maybe BG was forcing conversation by doing that. I don't know. I mean, I'm speculating here, right? It just
took this arm.
Seems out of character for him.
Wait here. Take that same arm, grab AJ Brown, get in here. We locking this door until y'all work whatever the problem is professionally out. We staying in here. That's what he could have done.
I think the professional problem stems from the personal problem, but we'll see. We'll see how things play out in the next 6 weeks.
That's speculation. I don't have time for speculation. I'm trying to win a ship. So F the speculation.
I would love for the speculation not to be true.
Yeah, there's a disconnect. Definitely, but I feel like it's between. I think there's the play calling on one end, there's the quarterback play, and then there's the frustration with the change in philosophy for the wide receivers and the tight end group.
Well, with that, my friends, we will end the show. We're gonna go on the sideline to sideline.
We're still gonna win.
Still gonna win.
And we'll complain about Jalen after this game too.
That's right. But with that being said, we're all saying goodbye. Not saying goodbye, just saying take a bird's deep.